Welcome to this week's Tuesday Talk. Today we're talking about the wonderful, wacky world of wax. DIYs by Dar requested that we talk about wax today. You really should check out Dar's channel. She is a very talented artist and a furniture artist as well. Restorer and refinisher. So check out her channel. She also does some cool home projects as well. So thanks for requesting this subject, and you too can help me decide what to talk about on Tuesday Talk by becoming a channel member. Just click the join button. It's only 99 cents a month, and you can help me decide. You get access to our Facebook group and also custom emojis. So whenever you comment on a video, if it's a premiere or a live, then you are automatically recognized as someone who's a channel member. So our group is small, but I just love you guys. I have a bunch of products laid out here, and it might look a little overwhelming, but I'm guessing that you feel overwhelmed already when we talk about wax, especially when you see this many products. So I'm going to simplify everything for you today. First of all, I also want to tell you that I sell Dixie Belle. I'm an elite retailer for Dixie Belle, which means that I carry all the products all the time. So that being said, my experience with other products is extremely limited. I haven't tried other waxes, so I'm only speaking from what I know. But I have watched a gazillion YouTube videos, and I can safely say that some, might feel different than others, but in general, the properties are the same and the guidelines are the same. The question would be, why use wax? So first of all, it has a practical purpose as a sealer. So you can use it in place of clear coat, a liquid sealer on your project. You can seal transfers in with it. And in general, it kind of makes that feel of chalk painted furniture. It just kind of makes it a lot softer when you use wax. So plus it richens the color. So you have all these beautiful colors that you can use, and it just intensifies those colors when you use it. So that's one reason. And then there are a myriad of colored waxes, and they can be used to accentuate the details in your designs. There's another product that will help you in that regard too, and that is glaze. We're not going to talk about glaze today, but I just wanted to show you this whole stack of products, and then I'm going to move them out of the way. The only reason I included them in this discussion is because if you're confused as to what they're for, and I just want to add some color to my project, this might help clear that up for you. So wax has a waxy nature, obviously, hence the name, and you're going to buff it. These are more like paint, and you're going to brush them on. So they're a liquid. So they come in a bunch of different colors, and I'm going to remove them from this, but here's an example of a pearlescent glaze. So you can't get that with wax. So there's times when you want to use glaze like copper bronze, really cool colors, although there are a lot of cool waxes too. A regular whitewash, which you can do with watered down paint as well. Pearlescent glaze. I am a sucker for anything that has pearl in it. I love that. I want my car painted in pearl. I want to keep my car, but I want it painted. So working on the hubs on that. But anyway, so also the black glaze looks blue in the jar, but it's black. So there you have glazes, but we aren't talking about them today. So I'm just going to introduce you to these products and kind of eliminate them as we go and narrow down your choices so that you're not feeling so overwhelmed about wax. I'm going to also do some demonstrations for you and show you some different looks on different colors so that you also understand that if you're a newcomer to wax. This category over here are scented waxes. So in the Dixie Belle world, they're called Big Mama's Butter. This one in particular is unscented. This is a newer one that's called Fresh and Clean, and it's got eucalyptus and something else. This smells just amazing. Really good. Orange Grove, up until that point, has always been my favorite. It's just so clean. So what these waxes are for, you certainly can use these. I have used them in the place of clear wax to seal your paint and your transfers. You can also use them on the inside of drawers to freshen up the wood, and also on the underneath of the drawer glides to help them glide real easily. But you always want to clean it first, obviously. But these scents will last about 6 months or so, or maybe about 6 weeks, depending how often the piece gets opened, I guess. Flannel is more of a masculine scent. Love that one too. And Suzanne's Garden, which is roses, and it's kind of overwhelming roses to me. A little bit goes a long way with that, but I do find myself using it. A lot of times the color dictates the scent to me. One last word about the scent. If you choose the unscented, you can scent it yourself with essential oils. Okay, so that is the story on that category. See, we're getting narrowed down here. So this is a big category right here, and this is what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about the workhorse, which is the clear wax. If you want to use wax, sometimes people just love the aesthetic feeling of waxing. It's fun. You know, you have this big old brush and you're just putting it in, and you're just seeing that color get more intense, and then you buff it out. Okay, you can leave it sit a little while. With Dixie Belle waxes, I suggest you just leave it for 20 minutes or so and then buff it out. But then there's the colored waxes. So if you're saying to yourself, well, I only want to color, I want to use it just to color my piece, you still, in my opinion, need the clear wax. Because when you paint with chalk paint, that becomes kind of a porous surface then, because it's like basically mineral clay based kind of situation, and it's just kind of chalky. You want to use the clear wax first, so that when you use the dark waxes, they don't just grab on and just stay in that one spot. So this is grunge gray, and I really love it because it's subtle. But when you use the clear wax, then you can work that around. I'm also going to demonstrate that for you. We also have white wax. This is a well-used white wax. White wax looks great on dark colors. It's a cool look. And we have brown. Mine's kind of old in chunks, but it's okay. It still works. I use it. It's actually right now, because it's warm out, it's a little softer. Love the smell of it. I just love the smell of it. It reminds me of crayons, I guess. And then, of course, there is black wax. Sometimes nothing else will do but black wax, and other times it's like too much, and I would prefer brown or the gray. Those are those colors. And also, if you are looking for something very specific, I've had this for a couple years now. I tinted my own wax. It was a custom piece, and I just felt like it needed some green wax. So I just took, and I've used other colors before, but I apparently mixed a large quantity in this case. So there's no point in getting rid of it. It's still in a nice consistency of wax. So we'll put this category aside for the moment. And these ones are kind of specialty, kind of accessory kind of waxes. This is called Dixie Dirt. It's not a wax at all. It's a powder, but it's a great companion to wax. So if you didn't want to use the dark wax, or if you did use it and you wanted even more dirt looking, this is charcoal, and it also comes in just regular Dixie Dirt and also earth. So these are really nice, deep, dark colors that you can use in place of colored wax or in addition to. They really, you want to use it in tandem with clear wax though, so that it has something to hold on to, okay? Now, gilding wax is another category. These are the yummy metallics. These come in all kinds of cool colors. These to me are going to be great on your hardware, or if you're doing kind of a grunge piece or something super elegant that you want to add a metallic touch. This one I love. It's called zinc. So it's not silver and it's not black. It's somewhere in between. And it's just a nice industrial kind of touch. And then there is silver. Hi-ho, silver. Never had that happen before. That was crazy. In the future, I will always point the cap away from me. Woo, you never know what's going to happen on Tuesday Talk, right? Okay, this is probably the one that gets used most often. It's like a champagne cork, but this is gold. And I'm always just using my finger. You can use a brush depending on what you're doing. And I love the smell of our waxes, but you know, I'm always walking around like gold finger. Copper. So I don't use silver much. Maybe that's why. I can't believe that it had those kind of gases, I guess, built up in it. Copper. I use this a lot too. And bronze. Use this one too a lot, especially like if you're using brown wax and you don't quite want to go gold. It's just a nice, really nice color. You're familiar with bronze. And lastly, there's black gilding wax. I'm not really sure why there is black gilding wax, although I've used it. It really doesn't have much of a metallic finish to it, but it's kind of nice to have a real small container of black wax, although I don't feel like it's the same consistency. The black wax that we sell in the tin, the big tin, is water-based, and this is an oil-based. So it's a little bit different. So I'm gonna have to retrieve my silver lid. Wow. Okay, then there's these waxes, which are chameleon waxes. I love these. Comes in 3 colors, cactus, and these smell incredible. But there's cactus, and it's a, as you can imagine, a green. And then there's lilac. Smells so good. And then apricot, or apricot, however you choose to say it. They look funny in the tins. They don't look like those colors. But as the name implies, as a chameleon, they're sort of changeable. You look at them in a different light, and it's just kind of iridescent. Whoever thought of these was just incredible. I owe them a debt of gratitude because I love these products. One product in the wax category that I forgot to mention, and I'm pretty sure it's exclusive to Dixie Belle. I don't know that other companies have this in the furniture painting line anyway. I know for years there's been liquid wax, but as far as sealing paint, Not sure. But this is called Easy Peasy Clear Matte Spray Wax. So it's not shiny at all. And with this stuff, I use it like when I'm in a hurry. Or it's also good if you're working on a small project and you just want to like you have something to float that wax on. I would call it floating it when you're putting a colored wax on and you want to just move the wax around with the benefit of the clear wax. When you get this stuff, you want to shake it until you can't hear it anymore. Silence. Okay, so then it's ready to spray. So that's all you need to know with that. You just want to spray it evenly, and then you can put as many coats on as you want to, but you just wipe it back with a soft cloth. Cures in 6 hours, so it's really fast cure time. And I tend to think that the wax is going to be a little more long lasting in the paste form in the can, but this is a time saver, and I just feel like you might want to go back and reapply it maybe, twice a year or so. Maybe not. I'll be hands up. I never go back and reseal anything. So it's up to you. But anyway, that's your introduction to wax. And next we're going to see some of this wax in action. Okay, next let's talk about brushes. When you're waxing, you want a stiff kind of bristled brush, but not real stiff. So Dixie Belle makes a couple brushes that are great. This one's called the Best Dang brush. It's wonderful for applying clear wax over a large piece of furniture. You can just hold it like this and just keep swirling it. It covers a lot of territory for you, so it makes the job a little bit easier. This is also a great brush. I have a couple of them here. This is also a great brush for blending paint on a large surface as well. Nice brush. This is called the La Petite brush, also a Dixie Belle brush. If you notice, it's pointed. So it's great for doing drawers, like to do in the corners or any detailed areas because it gets in the details. So I like this one for waxing too. And if you notice, well, this one is clean, although it looks dark, but I don't always wash my wax brushes out. Sometimes I keep them like this one. This one's ready for black wax. It's just dark. This is an older oval brush from Dixie Belle. It's just kind of got worn down from overuse. Still a nice brush. I could still certainly wash it out and paint with it because it's water-based wax, but I just kind of keep it waxy. There's no use to really wash it out all the time. This one came from the craft store, and to be honest with you, it's kind of cheap. I think I actually had to repair it once, but I kind of like the short handle on it. I kind of keep it for white wax, apparently, because I see wax in it. So clear and white. So if I use clear wax, or white wax, you can kind of wipe it off on a rag and use it again for clear. So here's an old brush that is worn down. It makes a great wax brush for detail areas because it's still kind of soft, but it's short and stubby. These also make great stencil brushes. Stencil brushes also, conversely, make great wax brushes. I often use stencil brushes to wax with. Here's an idea too. You can take cheap chip brushes and cut off the bristles so that they're shorter, and then they're good for waxing. However, you want to watch when they're cheap that they shed. So you want to make sure that you massage them really well at first to get all those loose hairs out. Don't be surprised if it still happens. So that is one thing to watch for. But you might want to do that with a better brush that's seen better days and just cut it down a little bit, and it makes a great wax brush. You could also put it into a point if you want. But very often I find myself using very detailed areas, and I like little brushes. So artist brushes that have gotten kind of a little bit worn, they're just short and flat, or they kind of have sort of a stiff bristle. I like those. So that's good. Plus you can just buy regular stencil brushes at the craft shop that are a small diameter or craft size, and they work just perfect for waxes. So what I've done here is I've taken a couple of these light fixtures things. I'm going to show you the detail in them. Now these two I have painted with cotton, and that is a Dixie Belle chalk mineral paint. Okay, so that's important to note that I used chalk mineral paint. Then I painted this one in black, and I did it in, and I only did one coat on these, and this is in Anchor, and this is Anchor, and this is silk paint. So silk has a built-in primer and sealer in it. So that's going to make a difference in our waxing. When you're using an all-in-one paint, you might not have to use a clear wax to float your colored waxes. So we're going to take a look at that and see how that goes. So remember we said that when we use the chalk paint, it's kind of porous. So if you feel it, it feels different than the one that I've used the silk paint on. Not much, but a little bit. You can see the difference in the reflection, like kind of in the sheen. So you know that the other one is a little bit smoother. This again will be porous. So I'm going to take some black wax, which is about as drastic as you can get. This is the whitest paint and the blackest black. And I'm just going to use this little brush, and I'm just going to show you the difference between adding clear wax and not. So this is pretty harsh, and I'm going to rub it back right away so you can see. That's not too bad, but that's really darker than what I probably would want. So I'm going to take some clear wax now, and I'm going to coat the rest of that piece. I'm going to wipe that off in case it has any other wax in it. I think that one needs washed. This one's clean. We'll do this. Okay, so I'm going to put this in clear wax, which looks white, but it's not. It's clear. And just do the rest of this so that we now have the clear wax on here, so that our other wax is going to kind of be a lot easier to control. So now I'm going to use, I'll skip a couple of these things, but I'm going to use the black wax over here, and it looks like it's going on pretty much the same way. But if you notice, it's not as harsh, okay? Now, the other thing is too, once you've done that, say you did this and it's too harsh, you can take clear wax and it sort of acts as an eraser. You see how that just kind of disappeared here? So clear wax is a good healer if you happen to get too much wax. So that would be how you would apply your colored waxes on. We'll do a little bit more. You would want to go over kind of the whole thing, but mainly stick to those areas that have the details. So we're kind of going over the whole thing, but then we're going to wipe it back. So it's going to be different on furniture. This is a thing that has all sorts of detail, so we're just going for it. But if you're doing a furniture piece, you're going to want to accentuate around handles and areas like that. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at. And so you can notice all the detail a lot more. I personally think black is a little too harsh to use on white, and I probably wouldn't, but depending on the mood of the piece, who knows, I might. So I'm going to apply a little bit more clear wax just because I want it kind of fresh. And then I'm going to show you some Dixie dirt in there. So this one is charcoal. I just grabbed the first one I saw. So that one's charcoal, and I'm just going to take this same brush and just put it in there. You can see it's powder. I can flake some of that off there. And I can do the same method to apply it, or I can just take my brush and get right in there. Then the same thing, just kind of wipe it back. So that applies a little bit of extra grunginess. Pretty cool. I will tell you, if you do these things too soon before waxes cure, you might pull off a little bit of paint. Some people think that's kind of cool, depending on what is underneath. So I'm going to take this same stuff and go over where we did the black wax. It's just so you can see what that adds to it. So there's part of it where we didn't use it, and there's part where we did. So I personally, well, either one is pretty cool, but I kind of like this better. So it's all a matter of taste, and that one's pretty dark. Again, we're using a really dark one on a white, which might look totally different if we did it on a color. Now we have some gold gilding wax, and we're going to experiment a little bit, just using my finger, and I'm going to go over the area where we waxed with dark wax and an area that has no wax except for clear wax on it, and the area with the dirt. Just kind of give you an overview so you can see what that does. So the gilding wax adds even more dimension because we're still seeing the white, we're still seeing the black, and now we're seeing the gold, which really pops those details. So here it is just on the white. You can imagine what it looks like on different colors as well. So this is the one where we used the dirt on top of the black wax and the gilding wax. Now we're going to do a little more experimenting. We're going to get our black piece out here, and we're going to use some white wax on it. And when I use white wax, I typically don't worry about doing clear wax first. I'm using the same brush as I did use for my clear wax, and just going to apply that. And same thing, we're going to wipe it back. And I'm using a t-shirt rag, so basically a lint-free cloth. If you use a paper towel and you're aggressive with it, it might stick into those areas and leave lint. So that's what that looks like, and I think that looks pretty cool. But let's make it look even cooler and add a little bit of that gilding wax. I'll leave part of it undone and part of it done. So I'm just using the gold, so imagine if you're using zinc or if you're using copper or bronze or silver. Okay, now let's have some fun. And let's pull out these chameleon waxes. And like I said, they are real chameleons because they're going to change depending on their environment, aka the background. So we're taking the other white, whatever these things are called, and we're going to come around to the area that's all black. And this is lilac, so I'm just going to, I didn't use this finger for the gilding wax. Okay, I'm going to do the white first. It's hard to see, but it's on there. But watch this. I already know what's going to happen. Maybe I need to use a little bit more on our white, but I love the way this gilding wax looks on black. I'm going to wipe it back a little because it seems like I have a lot of extra paste. But look at that. Isn't that cool? It's like deep purple almost, but I'm going to do a little bit more, using a little more. Now I'm seeing some lilac, depending on which way you turn it. But very cool. It has that very iridescent look. Okay, let's move on to a different color. But I absolutely love these chameleon waxes. First of all, like I said, they smell amazing. So I got to use a finger that I haven't used before so we won't muddy up the color, if you will. I hear all sorts of sirens out there. Always pray for the people they're going to and also for the responders, because you just never know. It's funny, the apricot kind of pulls like a little purpley too. It's really weird, but it's also really, really cool. I'm going to wipe a little bit of it back. So I've done things before and used these, and it's just really a neat look. Looks definitely more apricot or apricot-y on the white. It's a little hard to see, but I'm trying to get it. You can see how the iridescent quality is there. Okay, let's look at cactus. And I suppose I could use a brush for these as well, but I'm just using my fingers. But I'm running out of fingers, so I'm going to use my little pinky finger. Definitely more green right out of the gate. I'll leave that set there a minute, and let's put it on the black and see what happens. Whoa! They're electric on the black. I love it. And even more so, I think, on the, if I had used Caviar, which is the blackest black in the Chalk Mineral line, I think it would be even more impressive. But look at that. Isn't that amazing? So you can picture this on dark blue or on a brown even. Just amazing. So this is, it's kind of hard to tell them apart, but I think this is the cactus. Very subtle. So you kind of get a pearlescent kind of look with these on a lighter color, and then really more of an iridescent kind of wet gasoline on the street look on the darker colors. So I think that looks really vintagey. I can totally see this depending on the application. Let's take the wax that I colored and see what it looks like. I had used it on a blue before, but I like it. It looks really cool. I'll have to remember that I have this, and also that I can mix other ones. And one last look at the gilding wax, which was my gilding wax finger. And let's just kind of see what, I really put a lot on there. We'll have to wipe some of that back. but this is now over these colored waxes, over these iridescent waxes. But that brings a whole other dimension to them and really makes them pop, if you ask me. Okay, let's try it over the lilac here. Wow, 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 wow. And a little bit goes a long way, but how cool is that? Love it. If you would like to purchase these, you can go right to my website, which is lavintagedecor.company, and go to the Shop Dixie Belle Paint section, or the shop section, and then select Dixie Belle Paint. But doesn't that do something really cool there as well? Don't you just love these? I think they're the bomb. It's a very rustic piece that I did a lot of texture on. Did it in the corners, just kind of did it all over just to give it that old look. You can see some of the paint came off rather, and that is totally fine. I'm okay with that. I used brown wax a lot on this. I wanted it to kind of look like an old postcard. Heavy black wax on red. That's always a good look, I think. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's Tuesday talk, look at wax, and let me know what you want me to talk about next. Just click that join button and we'll talk. See you Saturday for part 2 of my paint and lay on glass that kind of went a little wrong. I am correcting it in an innovative way, so check it out on Saturday. Thank you so much for watching today, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. Visit at lavintagedecor.company. On Instagram, we're lavintagedecor. On Facebook, we're lavintagedecor Altoona. Stay well.